Well, bros, it's over. Nintendo just won't announce any new video games. And Nintendo not announcing a new Direct means I guess they've just given up on making video games altogether. You know, it doesn't matter that the Switch is still out there, and they're selling tons of units, and they have so much money invested in it. I guess they just stopped making video games in 2020 all of a sudden. So, you know, I have nothing else to talk about, man. So, I guess this is goodbye. Okay, it's not that bad, but it does kind of feel really bad, at least. Considering the lack of first-party Nintendo news on games like Bayonetta 3, Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 4, and like other games, it really does kind of feel bad. I thought it was odd that there was nothing happening in January, but Nintendo has kind of like tried not to put all their eggs into the January basket. So I'm like, hey, maybe there's an early February Direct. And then February, and there was no general Direct. And now it's almost the second week of March, and I honestly think that Nintendo canceled any Direct they had. Or the Direct maybe didn't even exist. I mean, we might get some game-specific Directs. I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition supposedly comes out in May. So maybe in April, we get a 20-minute Direct about Xenoblade Chronicles. You know what, man? I don't think we're gonna get anything outside of maybe a couple game-specific Directs until E3 2020. I think it's that bad at this point. Oh, my goodness. I don't even know if there even is gonna be an E3 Direct because coronavirus is out of control, and assuming that the thing doesn't die down by like May or early summer, that E3 could get canceled, and knowing Nintendo, they could very easily throw out whatever Direct they were working on and just put all the information out piecemeal throughout the rest of the year. But you know what? Despite all this is not the worst information drought that I've experienced as a Nintendo fan. Okay, so the drought we're in right now, even if you assume the worst, that there is no E3 Direct, that we might not even get something until the fall, worst case scenario, it still does not at all compare to the drought from June 2016 to October 2016. Now, some of the eagle-eyed among you might notice that October 2016 date, and you're like, Power Man, that's when the Switch got announced. You know, what was so bad about that time period? But, well, let's just say that June to October that year was the most brutal, infuriating time I've ever had waiting for something to get announced. So to kind of set the scene of why this wait was so agonizing, we gotta go back all the way to the Wii U. And the Wii U was a disaster, it didn't sell that well, we all kind of know that, but there was like a point, like after Splatoon 1 came out, like Nintendo just didn't really seem to care about the Wii U. Like, you had Mario Maker, but it just felt like a really severe drought from late 2015 to 2016. And remember, the Wii U wasn't that popular either, so there wasn't even that many third-party games that people could be occupied with. This also was around the time that the 3DS was really starting to show its age, and that was kind of going through not as bad of a drought as the Wii U, but there definitely was not as many high-quality first-party releases compared to the previous couple of years. And even if you were just like, I'm just gonna play Splatoon and Smash 4 and not worry about any new games, well, the support for those games was also drying up too. Smash 4's last DLC character, Bayonetta, came out in February of 2016, and I believe Splatoon had about a year of Splatfests, so around mid-2016 was when support stopped for that game as well. So, looking at Nintendo's calendar going into 2016, it looked insanely barren. And so people were speculating, oh, maybe Nintendo will show off their next console that there are rumors about at their E3. And so that's why it doesn't seem like they have anything in 2016. And then Nintendo decided that they were only going to bring Breath of the Wild and a handful of other games to E3 that year. No Project NX, no, Switch unveil, no nothing. And so began the agonizing 4 to 5 month wait for the Switch to be unveiled. And it was so frustrating because you had leaks about what the console was actually going to be like, and sort of the whole Joy-Con system sounded crazy and interesting, and nobody knew what to think of it at the time, but we didn't have the console to look at, so we were just ruminating on this information that we didn't know if it was true or not. And then you had insiders always claiming Nintendo's going to announce the reveal date for the Switch tomorrow. And they were never right. They kept saying it, and it didn't keep happening for months and months and months and months and months. And that period was so incredibly infuriating because Nintendo at that point was like, it seemed like they really were going to get out of the console business, right? And not in the kind of way of the Switch where, oh, it's not a fully dedicated console. Like, it seemed like they really were going to stop making hardware if the next console was a flop. So for them to not announce their next thing and try to get out of the hole they were in just seemed like the most stupid, infuriating, counterproductive move ever. And every day that passed felt worse. So for those of you out there who are saying, oh, this is the worst Nintendo info drought ever, I would highly disagree. Because the difference between now and 2016 is that now, waiting for a Nintendo Direct, you're waiting on Nintendo stuff specifically that you want to play. In 2016, you waited on an announcement because you had nothing else. So I guess the moral of the story is that if you're somebody right now who, was really antsy about waiting for a Nintendo Direct because of those first-party games, I kind of feel you on that, but at the same time, if this is really the worst that the Switch is going to have for its entire lifespan, like, honestly, this is not even, like, the worst. Like, there's still tons of games to play, and there's still games to look forward to, and it just doesn't feel like everything's very depressing and, like everything depends on this one thing being announced. So I hope this video was informative, because I know not everybody knows about Wii U era Nintendo, really. So this was just kind of fun to talk about and sort of reminisce on. And, hopefully, this drought won't be too bad. Watch me finish this video, and then the day I upload this, Nintendo announces a Direct. That's it, and have a good day.